Fascinating insight coming your way from both of them, but I think you'll agree there's probably one hot topic we need to start with. Damian is, certainly would choose this, I'm sure, if I was to put you on Mastermind and give you 20 questions on one topic. FIFA would probably be your chosen specialist subject. So let's start with FIFA. We've had the election. Is FIFA fit for purpose now?
No, because to say anything other than that would suggest that all that was required was to elect a new president. And Sepp Blatter's removal and the election of a new president is just one of the necessary steps for reforming and changing the organisation. Now, FIFA has also voted on some reforms, which I think are, again, another important step forward for the way it's structured and organised. But it's going to have to go a lot further as well. The challenge FIFA faces is not just in implementing the reforms that it's agreed on. It's having some sort of external validation of those reforms, because the threats it faces are external. From outside of the sport, they are from the criminal investigations being led by the Swiss government and the FBI, and also from its commercial partners. I mean, the commercial partners, the sponsors, have started to step back from FIFA, and they won't come back on board again until they're convinced the organisation has really changed. And I think Infantino has probably got 6 months or so to demonstrate that he really is going to rigorously lead a process of root and branch reform.
I think the challenge with a lot of the international federations and some national ones is, over the years, they've just seen themselves as being different and almost above the law, and to be able to behave differently because they have this amazing product which people get behind and are passionate about and just love, and people want it to be, they want there to be integrity and they want it to be clean, and I think they just live on a lot of people's hopes. And I think for me, and actually, Infantino's probably got some of the same challenges that Seb Coe has. What you knew, what you didn't know, what's rumour, what's speculation, what's gossip, and what is cold, hard fact. And I think he's got a really limited time to try and make changes, but it's got to go all the way through, because it's not just at the top level. And actually, FIFA IAAF, it's how you sort out that, but then how you sort out the national structures underneath, which is a massive challenge.
I mean, you know Seb very well, Tanni. Is he the right man to take international athletics forward?
Yeah, I do, actually, because I think what happens when he became IAAF president, I don't think he probably expected the media coverage and that kind of onslaught that happened straight away. And hands up, I've done it, everyone's done it, where you might not have made the smartest comments publicly. I think the things, hindsight, he could have said things in a slightly different way. But I don't think athletics has too many options about who can lead IAAF. And so that's the challenge.
You've resigned from the board of London 2017.
Yeah.
Why have you done that?
There was a governance review of the board, and we're kind of just over a year away from the championships. And I think it's fantastic, to have World Athletics Championships in London. It's the first time the IPC event will be held in the same city, alongside, because we have had some very interesting World Championships from an IPC point of view, where we haven't always had a lot of spectators. So for me, having IPC Worlds in London was this huge opportunity to kind of build on this base of disability sport and, the stuff that happened around 2012. There was a governance review. It's in a miles better place now than it was. But I just got to the point where, all the way through 2012, from 2002 to 2012, I never had to once sit and say, what about the Paralympics? Not once. I mean, might be sitting in the room, people went, oh, gosh, right, Paralympics. But I just felt it was just a bit too tokenistic, and it wasn't. The events will be fine, and they will be okay, but can they be this another moment in time which changes the way people perceive Paralympic sport? I don't think it's going to be that. And to be honest, it just got to the point where I felt like I was going around in circles. It was me sitting there going, and I kind of felt like, I was sort of being a little bit typecast as the moany woman, and probably I was, but it's really tiring when I think my role was seen as, well, she can do the Paralympic stuff, do you know? And if I didn't have to do that in 2002, I certainly don't think I should have to do that in 2016.
Well, I mean, what else could she say? I mean, she broke the rules, and she should be banned from the sport. It's as simple as that. And she's an amazing role model for lots of tennis fans and tennis players. and it's extremely disappointing and distressing. I think the only positive thing you might take from it is that I think it is good that tennis is prepared to confront an issue like that with one of its major stars, and has done so, and it has to follow through. I think it make it absolutely clear that it can't be tolerated. I mean, I have bigger concerns about. I mean, you can't get much bigger than one of the major stars being called out in this way. But I mean, one of the concerns I have as well about tennis is on match fixing. I think this is a massive problem. The gambling bodies believe that tennis is a massive outlier in terms of the incidence of suspicious or problematic gambling linked to tennis, and I think tennis has to look at the revenue it gets from the gambling industry. I'm not talking about necessarily just sponsorship, but I think the tennis receives tens of millions of dollars from selling live match data, in-game data from tournaments, lower ranking tournaments all around the world, and spends a tiny percentage of that on the Tennis Integrity Unit, which is there to try and police wrongdoing. So, as I said, when the Tennis Integrity Unit in front of the Select Committee, I mean, it's not quite a Lone Ranger operation because they've got 3 investigators rather than 1, but they're taking on the entirety of wrongdoing and match fixing in world tennis, and they need to invest a lot more in tackling this problem.
My frustration with Sharapova is that, I'm quite cynical. I believe in really strong bans for athletes who've taken drugs. I also believe that all the associated personnel around them should be banned because athletes do not do this in isolation, because it's not just taking the drugs, it's the masking agents, it's the doctors, it's how you alter your training for the medication that you're on. So I think they should all be taken out. But, her coming out in the press, it was just a PR stunt to get positive and to get favourable coverage. And sort of social media was split between people going, oh, poor Sharapova, and then, people, probably a lot of sports people like me saying, we need to be pretty tough on this. I don't think there's an excuse in terms of what she was taking. If you actually just look at what the drug did, it probably should have been on the banned list years ago. There was notification that it was on the watch list. And then, it was, on the banned list.
Sport can be a lever to do so much social good, not just as Tanni said in terms of tackling obesity, but dealing with antisocial behaviour. You look at some of the programmes, like the Kicks programme that the Premier League run, has done great work in using football to give direct the energies of young people into something positive and constructive. There have been studies saying that how sport can break down gang culture in estates as well. So I think there is a growing recognition of the power in sport in society and its ability to change lives for the good, not just in terms of people's physical health, but their general well-being. And I think if we can really take this opportunity and make that work, and I think the great external support we have now is that there's never been more money in sport. There's never been more organisations that want to be part of the success of sport. So if we can harness all of that for good, it's a very exciting opportunity.
You've got a room full of senior figures within the sports industry here. You're both focused on Westminster. Have you got a message from Westminster to the people in this room? What would you like them to go out and focus on today, tomorrow, next week, the rest of this year? What can they do to help you to bring perhaps sport to a better place?
Well, I think back community sport. Use your brand, use the power of your brands to inspire people in the communities. And when you see wrongdoing in sport, don't be afraid to speak out. I mean, I found it frustrating for a long time on FIFA, the kind of deafening silence that came from sponsors and other commercial partners until finally Coca-Cola burst the dam. But yeah, your voice matters.